What's changed over the last 2 or 3 years? What's likely to change over the next 2 or 3 years about succession planning, inheritance tax planning? Big ones that obviously jump out is pensions falling into estates from 2027. What are your biggest challenges at the minute with financial planning when it comes to inheritance?
So for me, I feel like it's a little bit of the unknown, because whilst and I feel like I'm experiencing this more than ever, because I'd say political instability in the UK is probably as high as it's ever been. I think a lot of people are a little bit unsure as to what legislation we're going to be looking at in the future. So that'd be the biggest like issue with our job at the moment, is trying to advise under current legislation, whilst a large part of our clients are speculating about what might happen in the next general election and whether or not there's going to be changes with pensions or inheritance. You know, a lot of people don't want to make lasting decisions now, just in case something comes in 2 years that completely changes what they could have done.
I mean, politics aside, succession planning has definitely become a forefront of everyone's conversations, because in years gone by, it was relatively straightforward as a financial planner to use an individual's or husband and wives' families' pensions as a vehicle and a succession pot that we can plough as much as we possibly can into. If we're a UK taxpayer, fantastic, we're getting all the relevant tax relief. But then also, in years gone by, we were able to just make sure we had the children down as beneficiaries, and that was an inheritance tax-free pot that you could pass on through your family. That obviously flipped on its head last year, and I know it's not entirely clear exactly what that legislation looks like, but in effect it comes into an individual's estate as of 2027, which has provided some challenges for financial planners. It's provided some real different conversations to have with individuals. But again, that's what we're here for, in some of the tools that we will use with individuals, but maybe not for that kind of level of succession planning, is looking at, okay, well now, the big concern is those pension pots that we've been building up over all these years are now of a sizable value. They're going to pass on to the spouse, inheritance tax free, but we need to be now planning for that second death succession planning. There's lots of things that can be done, and it doesn't necessarily have to be very complicated. Ideally, as with most things financial planning, the earlier you look at it, the earlier you start, the easier things are. Simple thing like having a life insurance policy that pays out upon second death. So at least if there is going to be an inheritance tax bill because your pension's of a certain level, at least there's cover.
Well, putting a bit more of a personal opinion on it, how fair do you think it is that that's all of a sudden just flipped?
I think one thing that I don't see spoken about at all in the media, certainly spoken about in our industry, is the actual level of tax that a beneficiary could actually pay on a pension. So the high level figures are that someone dies as of 2027 onwards, forgetting spouse benefits, but if it goes to your child, for example, they'll pay 40% inheritance tax. But you have to also factor in the fact that they'll pay income tax as well, and it depends on how that person takes that money. But if you've got someone who decides to cash the entire amount in one go, which I'm sure is going to happen, there's going to be lots of people that children want to buy a property or whatever, and they say, oh, I've got access to a lump sum here, let's cash that in. The actual tax rate is going to be much, much higher than 40% when they add on income tax to that as well. And we're talking, haven't got the exact maths on it, but probably over 70%. So to come back to your question, how fair is it? I don't feel that's fair, and I'm sure most people in the UK wouldn't feel it's fair that someone leaves a pension pot behind for their children and they pay up to 70% tax on that income.